Here's a question from a viewer. It says, what would you do if there was an afterlife? I think I'd probably play Monopoly. Death Parade is a psychological thriller series based on the short film Death Billiards. They were both produced by Studio Madhouse, known for their work on Parasyte, the Maxim, Death Note, and Hunter x Hunter 2011. But without further ado, I present the Vital 3 review of Death Parade. Sorry you're dead, how about we play bowling instead? Death Parade by its very premise is kind of a ridiculous series. However, the way it's executed and how it all plays out is definitely something special. Rewind 2 years ago when Death Billiards was released at Anime Mirai 2013. It told the story of two people, completely unrelated, coming to the bar within Purgatory. After being put under pressure and made to play a game with their lives at stake, their souls are judged and sent to either be reincarnated or destroyed. It was a pretty interesting sequence of events that showed how people would reveal their true selves if everything was on the line. Back to 2015 and they've improved the concept even further. Instead of two unrelated people coming into this room, now the two guests have some sort of connection, leading to further conflict and a realization of their true selves. With our consistent cast of characters being the staff of Quindecim, we get to see these situations play out from their perspective as the judges of Purgatory. We are brought in and shown every detail of this conflict, and because of this, and because of the level of detail put into it all, we can start to make our own conclusions. It's an ideal mystery element, and Death Parade absolutely nails it even within a supernatural setting like this. It's a crime scene from beyond the grave where the guests play both prosecutor and defendant. It's a story of reflection that we don't really see much outside of ghost stories, and with the whole idea of a death game, it turns this series into something really quite unique. And thankfully, as the second episode demonstrates, it's not just about the conflicts, but it's also about Quindecim itself and how the various characters here must manage Purgatory in the most effective manner and uphold their own personal values whilst doing so. Although thus far it seems like that's kind of it. There's not much else to this show except for what happens within this bar, and the structure just lacks any creativity as it takes on what could be considered an episodic format. It makes for an easy watch, but well, that's pretty much it. Easy, not interesting, dynamic, or even clever. It's just to tune in and watch another sequence of events, and I do hope this is shaken up later in the show. But, as the premise implies, this is a series about character conflict and reflection, and the very fact that both guests are related adds this extra complexity as they explore the depths of their relationship whilst the game progresses. With these games being set up in a way that inflicts pain on your opponent, it becomes this question of, do I want to win knowing full well that my friend will be hurt and possibly die? Or do I sacrifice myself knowing the fate that would await me? It's a great concept, but even better when it comes to the execution. The first episode showed both characters completely breaking down as they realise the true reason for their death and go through a series of misunderstandings that they wouldn't talk about while still alive. And in this case, it leads to some real drama. Some people say melodrama, believing it to be too much, but those people forget that these characters kind of died. I think they're kind of allowed to be pissed off. One of the perks of an afterlife, I suppose. But after watching Death Billiards and the very similar first episode of Parade, I was apprehensive. The events that played out in those 2 episodes are very similar, and it really does make you question whether Death Parade is capable of any sort of conflict that doesn't end in shouting. It's not a dark tone, it's a dark location. Surely we can get something more uplifting from this series. And we got something even better in episode 3, showing a connection that could have only been made possible in the afterlife, and it was genuinely heartwarming to watch, and made for a massive contrast to earlier episodes. Those aren't our only characters too. We do have Quindecim and his unnamed assistant as our protagonists. While still completely unexplored, we did get an interesting scene in episode 2 where the mechanics of the game are explained to us. Here they reflect on the scene in episode 1, and as I theorised, Quindecim was wrong and made the incorrect judgment, and it was his assistant that pointed it out to him. I can see Quindecim's exploration of the human psyche as an attempt to educate himself as being a consistent theme here, as it does make for a far more dynamic show. Before we start this, since the opening of Death Parade doesn't suit the show at all, despite its brilliance, I thought I'd take that into account with my music choice for this section. Enjoy! Dark yet strangely bright. That's how I would describe the world of Quindecim. It's classy, smooth and mysterious, yet it's never creepy or at all disturbing. If there was one place I'd like to go bowling, it'd be somewhere like Quindecim. The place itself sets the stage and is visually intriguing. Sorry, I can't do this. Can we get a music change, please? Oh, for fuck's sake, not this again. Every time a game is set up, we get a taste of that sweet madhouse animation, as everything just seems to fall into place with beautiful effects, creating a sense of grandeur. For more on Quindecim, I direct you towards this fantastic spotlight by Tabimura and Nakutsu on the encyclopedia. It's not just Quindecim that holds this level of class though. Clearly distinguishing the host from the guests are the formal attire and clean character design. Can we get a music change again? This is actually getting ridiculous. You know what? I think I can deal with this. By showing little personality visually, they themselves become a mystery and a part of the scenery as the death games play out. It's an art style that takes itself and its concepts seriously. It never devolves into any other style for comedic effect, as any display of comedy here is shown more subtly, attempting a realistic style. And that is all brought into the soundtrack as well, with a combination of light background music typical to the location and some more tense tracks. It all just adds to the general aesthetic and blends together to make for a very fitting environment, which seems to be a foreign concept for this review. Death Parade is definitely one of the better shows within the winter season, holding a dark tone whilst not getting obsessed with dark events. It is not at all a one-trick pony and has the substance to both entertain and intrigue. The interactions between Quindecim and his assistant are consistently great and show character development as they start to become more human. My only issue is one with the structure and lack of consistent plot, although I hope to see that change as the series progresses, as the setting and cast hold the potential for it. With that in mind, I will continue watching Death Parade, and I'm excited to see what it has in store in future Death games. Death Parade is available to watch on Funimation and Anime Lab. Thanks for watching the Canipa Effect. The final Vital 3 review is Assassination Classroom. Also, there are 5 penguins hidden in this review. If you can find them all, then you get the grand prize of a sense of achievement and the feeling of self-worth. I'm not gonna